Hello, my name is Matthias Wolf. I'm currently responsible for partnerships, technology partnerships at the company called Radancy. Radancy is a global HR tech company specifically supporting global organizations in their quest for finding the right talent. Previously, before joining Radancy, and we were in acquisition, we founded a company 2013 in Vienna, which was back then called Firstbird. The company Firstbird tackled one of the, I would say, most crucial recruiting challenges, finding the right talent for organizations through the network of what the companies already have within their organization, their own employees, and how could kind of like the power of the network of the employees can be used to find the right talent. That was the main idea of Firstbird, and within, I would say, 7-8 years, we grew the company to kind of like nearly 50 employees. And in the course of the years 2020 and 2021, we got kind of like connected, learned to know Radancy, and then we agreed to join Radancy in the course of an acquisition in 2022. So being out there and being a startup, and you already have to think about when you start working with investors, how to kind of like also not exit, but kind of like how to join a bit broader corporation and then also pay out your own investors. So technically there are always three exit strategies. Either you go for a financial buy, a strategic buy, or an IPO, or you buy the investors out. So we went kind of like for a strategic buy in the end. And I believe the journey of founding an HR tech startup, which was, looking back, I think a product that the companies were not aware of it. So we had really the main challenge we faced in the very beginning founding the company was making people aware. So the go-to-market approach that this exists, because the employee referral idea is a very long old concept. It's 2000 years old. We already always told the story that Caesar himself used it to build the biggest Roman army in these times back then. But the concept was powerful, but it was never digitized. It was not really engaging for employees to participate in that process. And that was kind of like telling the story that this exists, and also that the benefits, and these are scientific kind of like concept, like the reputation protection theory or the tell richer pool theory, where this had a lot of benefits that were proven, so that companies had really a benefit of adapting, implementing, and using the technology. Just to quote one example of one organization that is a customer for us for nearly now more than 5 years, it's SAP themselves. SAP is using our technology globally and have kind of like managed to grow the referral rate from referrals, the high rate from referrals from 10% to nearly up to 30% with the support of a tool. So that needs kind of like, it was there already. It was a good channel, but we accelerated it. And that is kind of like the power of the network if it's done in a very kind of like engaging and gamified way. Now, with the approach of AI, a lot of the, I think, pillars of thought process in the talent acquisition industry is changing. I think also a Gartner analyst study shows in 2026 that, of course, AI is the most important criteria that impacts and changes the talent acquisition strategy. I believe the main concept is that, I believe from our point of view, that Radancy is looking at as well, where we are now working with companies how to kind of like use the power of AI to make the life of the recruiters better, easier, that the recruiters can kind of like focus on those areas where the human touch, the human elements are most important. I give you one concrete example. In the world of Radancy, for example, AI can help dramatically and significantly in screening candidates and matching them, and also finding the right positions for the candidates. And this screening, and for example also the interview scheduling process, is something where AI is helping tremendously to save time and also matching the right candidates to those job profiles that companies have to go through. One of the also, I wouldn't say negative, but the impact we saw with AI in the TA industry has been that there are kind of like tools coming that make it very easy for candidates to apply with the help of AI. So we see an influx of a lot of candidates coming to corporate website, but the AI has done the complete application process. And a friend of mine posted a couple of weeks ago that they had an HR intern position out there, and he received over, I think, 2,000 applications for an intern. But you can assume that a lot of them came through an AI-enabled tool. And this is now the challenge: how can I cope and help with the use of the AI to really, that the recruiters are focusing on those areas that are really where the main power of the recruiters are. At the moment in the talent acquisition industry, specifically, a lot of companies start evaluating their skills. And I think if you look and compare skills versus the way how we have evaluated candidates based on CVs, I think the skill orientation has dramatically increased within companies. So a lot of the organization have or are in the process of evaluating their internal skill set at the moment, or have done it already. So they have an internal mobility space where employees can move freely or can have kind of like a more flexible approach in like joining other spaces or moving their career. But also, I think there is a much broader flexibility for candidates to join companies based on their skill set and whatever programs or profiles or roles they're entering the organizations. And I think the skill focus, what studies then again tell us, that the systems need also be adapted, that the approach, that the skills, what the candidates bring in, are then also matched and also developed further based on the skill orientation. I think this is something where there are still gaps in between, and this is something what I think employees still feel, that the reality is not there yet, but the main goal in moving into skill-based orientation and also kind of like a recruiting is absolutely at the moment in the industry a hot topic. And when we think that further, when you say what are the challenges when you kind of like recruit, onboard and develop candidates in the space, I believe one aspect that we have discussed previously is the amount of applicants when you are facing the recruiting for a position. How do you deal with that? I think that's one essential thing where AI can help. The other aspect is still that a lot of organizations we see at the moment are cutting out trainee, graduate jobs, or at least reducing them, because AI can take on a lot of those tasks. But I think these companies need to be aware that the leadership pipeline then is also going to be smaller. So where do you then recruit talent when you don't have the graduate layer there? So I think this needs to be a balanced approach. And also when you think further in terms of, I would say, transforming those skills into proper capabilities in the onboarding and the growth of the employees, I think this is also something where companies need to identify the skills that are in the organization and also enabling and adapting and growing them into those kind of like needed skills. What we probably don't know yet, what skills are needed in the next 18, 24 or 36 months. That's very changing. So I think companies need to be very aware that there needs to be a flexible system or a strategy to really kind of like enable and develop those skills within the organizations. So the skills, when you look into the next 5 years or in the AI era where we are living now, I believe there are two components. The one component is really that what I, for example, have experienced. So when I look into my days, I try to reduce the tasks where I work around the work. So that means I do a lot of work where I hope to see more and more input that agents or the AI can help me. For example, scheduling a meeting with a partner, finding the right time slot. So this is something where I invest a lot of time, but actually it's much more important to talk to a partner, having the time for a conversation. So I think what are the valuable parts that I as a human being can really focus on in my role, in my job. And I see in a positive way that agents can really help me to get rid of the day-to-day operational tasks, duties, what I'm now still doing, and really free up more time for the roles that are really with the right human touch that I'm going to focus in the future. And I think this is true for a lot of the roles that we have in our organizations today. So the human potential in the time of AI, I believe there is a clear, I would say, still a clear division between where humans thrive, and this is when you think about being the creator, the creativity part, the strategic part, and really where the humans can excel and accelerate. And I think the whole piece of where humans still are finding the spots and AI can complement that thing. And I think that's the right view where I think the LLMs need to support, where humans can kind of like put their uniqueness into the everyday work lives. So thinking about what founders in this era need to adhere, what maybe can be helpful. So a very generic, I think, observation that we as Radancy, but also I as a founder have, that I think back then, 10 years ago, I think the industry that was hot was B2B SaaS, so software as a service. I think nowadays, if I were founding a new company, or if companies are founded, this needs to be AI native. I think this is a big change, and how you as a founder can find a niche, find an industry where an AI native company can accelerate. I still believe what we see is that the go-to-market part of accelerating and going to market will be a challenging one for a lot of organizations in the B2B industry, at least where I'm coming from, and don't neglect the part of still how to really kind of like build an engine of growth, meaning how to use lead gen marketing, sales and partnerships, and maybe other channels and networks to kind of like being a successful entrepreneur and building and finding the clients that value their product enough.